All right. Good morning, everybody. Welcome. We have. Hang on a second, everybody. I'm getting some serious. There we go. Let me close that out. Perfect. All right. Here we go. Good morning, everybody. Sorry about that. Little technical difficulty. Welcome. So today we have David Specter with Choice Home Warranty. The reason we're bringing David on today, he is our home warranty rep. I am sure everyone that's been in the business knows somebody that is a home warranty rep, right? We all know somebody. All right, there are lots of good home warranties out there. There are lots of good home warranty reps out there. The reason I have David on here today is because David is a guy that goes above and beyond. David is a guy that has urgency. David's a guy that cares. David's a guy that's not just going to sell the home warranty, and then when you have a problem, he's not going to answer the phone. He goes above and beyond to help realtors, help our clients get things done when things pop up. I mean, that's the whole point of having a home warranty, is to have a warranty on a home. And we've all maybe dealt with a home warranty rep in the past that's not real good at answering their phone, not good at responding, not good when problems pop up. David, I promise you, goes above and beyond. He does an excellent job. Very impressed with David's follow-up as well, his communication style. So we're bringing him on, David. The floor is yours. Thanks for being here. And, we appreciate you being on.
Well, thanks for having me. Thank you, everybody, for that's watching. And quite the intro. So now the expectations are way up here. So thank you, Michael. No, honestly, I really do appreciate you guys having me, hearing me out. And I'm starting to see warranties back in contracts more now than ever, as now there's not as many multiple offers, and you can ask for closing costs, you can ask for repairs during inspection, and you can now ask for the home warranty. So we're seeing a huge increase. So it's a great time to come on here, talk about what a home warranty is, how it works, the process. And I have a PowerPoint. I promise not to bore anybody, but it's a really good PowerPoint where it's going to build value and it's going to hit some key points that are super important to your clients. And when you guys are showing these homes, you know, that AC you can't test, too cold outside. What do? You know, do you let the buyer walk? Do you ask for a $5,000 credit because you can't test it and it looks old? So I'm going to hit a couple key points that agents and buyers say is super, super important when it pertains to home warranties. So I'm going to load up this screen here. Can you guys all see that?
Yeah, we can see it. If you want to make it bigger, David, go to, there we go. Perfect.
And any questions, please interrupt me and stop me. And I do want to say, what's kind of neat is it's really your guys' office is kind of like a melting pot of different agents from different companies and what have you, and all in one awesome place. So it's neat to be able to say I work already with a lot of agents at your guys' company, and that's how I kind of got involved here from the start. So just really cool. Just want to throw that out there. So I asked some neighbors, hey, what do you think of Choice? What do you think of David? I've been doing this for going on 14 years. It is, as Michael said, it is so important to have service behind the sale. The sale is the easy part. It's the service. Do you have somebody who actually cares and goes above and beyond? And that's where I have your guys back. But I want to hit some key points here. So I'm going to go ahead and get started. Once again, any questions, interrupt me. 450.
David, I just want to say real quick, we do have people on Facebook as well. So,
okay.
So we'll throw questions in as they come in from Facebook and from StreamYard here.
That is perfect. Perfect. The more questions, regardless of where it's coming in, I love it. Throw it at me. That sounds good. So 450, 580, 660 are policy prices. They have not increased in 2 years, even though I'm sure everybody knows prices retail have increased. Price on a fridge isn't the same as it used to be. An AC isn't the same price. Like I said, I've been doing this for 14 years. A decade ago, you can get an AC for about $3,000 all in. Now it's on average between 5,000 and 10,000 based on SEER, efficiency, brand, other variables. But prices have skyrocketed. Our actual price has not increased. So the 450 is going to cover the basic systems and appliances, AC, furnace, plumbing, ductwork, water heater, electric, and your appliances, but it will exclude washer, dryer, and fridge. It's going to have minimal coverage on plumbing. Like it's not going to cover faucets. It's not going to cover shower diverters. It doesn't have comprehensive coverage on the AC. Doesn't have comprehensive coverage on the water heater. I always say stay away from 450. Don't ask the seller for the 450. Just leave it alone. Do the 580 or 660. The 580 throws in the washer, dryer, and fridge, throws in the extra coverage where we're now going to cover sediment and calcium buildup for the water heater. And just to throw, and I talk fast, but I'll give you a real example. And this is a personal example. I have an investment home in Arnold. This was years and years and years ago. And inspection showed that water heater was working. The inspector tested it for 5 minutes. It was working. He put it in writing. Hey, it was working. Everything was fine. 40 gallon, everything was good. No issues. Older, recommend watching it, whatever. Anyway, but it was working. No actual mechanical issue. Nothing noted negative other than age, which is irrelevant as far as home warranty goes. Day one, tenant moves in. Tenant complains about the shower. She wasn't getting more than a 10 to 15 minute hot shower. Well, the issue was sediment and calcium buildup where, it's not going to go cold after 5 minutes, but it might after 10, 15, 20. Anyway, there was sediment and calcium buildup. And day one of my policy, I got a new water heater. And that water heater was $2,200. Water heater prices have skyrocketed as well. But it's just really cool to know, hey, if there's sediment and calcium buildup, that's an automatic replacement if you have the 580 or 660. There is no repair. So there's no Band-Aids when it comes to choice. Is it repairable? And if it's not, awesome, let's replace it. But day one, I saved $2,200. Policy is only $660. And at that time, the policy was actually, this was, I want to say 2 years ago, the policy was $660. And I bought a 2-year policy, so it was actually $1,010 for 2 years. But nonetheless, had the seller pay for one, I paid for the difference, which was $350. But looking at, I just want to provide that personal example because I think it's really neat. It shows a lot of value of why sediment and calcium buildup matters. And most warranty companies don't hit the logistics or the ins and outs of coverage. I think it's super important to know what you have. The 660 covers AC compatibility. So that's going to be the most important aspect when it comes to your AC. So if you're familiar and you're watching this call, R22 or Freon, it's outdated. They're done manufacturing it. It's illegal to manufacture. So you cannot produce R22 or Freon anymore. However, it's legal to put into a system. So you can put R22 into a system, but it's supply and demand. Once the supply is gone, that's it. So right now it's costing an arm and a leg. If you've had to replace Freon, it's about $150, $200 a pound, and it's only going to get worse and worse. We cover that at 100%, but going above and beyond just covering it. If you have an R22 system and let's say your condenser outside breaks and we have to replace your condenser, we're also going to replace your indoor A coil, even though it's not broken. Reason being, we replace your condenser, we're going to put in a new 410A Puron ran system. We put that system in. What about the A coil? The A coil is now not compatible. So we're going to have to change out the A coil, not because it's broken, but because now it's not compatible. So this 660 covers full replacement if need be, even though only half your system is broken. The 580 is only going to cover what actually breaks. So in that scenario, we'll replace the condenser, but homeowner, you have to pay for the A coil because it's not broken, even though you have to swap it out because now it's not compatible. So if it has an old AC, do the 660. If it has a newer AC, you can get away with the 580. Just throwing that out there, even though the 660 still has more coverage on other items, but that's the biggie, is that compatibility. And then there's a $75 service fee on all three policies, which is one of the, I haven't personally seen lower than 75. And our policy price, our max being 660 is a phenomenal price. And a lot of agents actually write in 680 or 700. And it's like, no, you actually shot over. So anyway, discounts for vets. And we actually extended this since COVID to police officers and doctors and nurses, any service professional. So $35 off if it is a vet-owned property. All of our policies are 13 months. And you can buy a 2-year policy for $1,010 and you get 26 months. So what agents actually have told me is if you ask the seller for 660, which is the Choice Ultimate, and you get it, I can create a separate invoice, or I can invoice it and keep them still distinctly different and separate, but I can send it still to title and it can show, hey, seller's paying 660, buyer is paying 350, and the buyer just bought their second year for $350 of our best policy. So that's phenomenal. If they know they're going to carry the policy for more than 1 year, why pay $660 at year 2 on renewal if you can pay $350 up front? So there's a huge discount there. I really like that. Our company is owned by a vet, but going back to that $35 off. So it's just a way to give back. So if you want to take advantage of that, order a policy as you normally would, let me know that they're a vet, service professional, what they are, what's going on, and I can adjust that invoice and resend it to you.
Hey, David, question, Lisa Rozier, how quickly will a service person come out on a call?
So on average, it's going to be 2 to 4 days from the time they file a claim that they'll come out. I see same day, I see next day, but I don't want to set false expectations. I don't want to say, hey, I'm going to have a company out today or tomorrow and be incorrect. So, but that could happen. But on average, it's 2 to 4 days. Now, I will say two things. One, if we don't have a company grab the job and commit to it within 48 hours, then we allow the homeowner to hire any company they want. So no matter what, within 48 hours, you're either going to have an appointment set through one of our techs or you don't. And we say, and we send out an automated email and we say, well, hey, we don't have a tech, you can hire your own. Except the difference is between us and there's business models out there that say, hey, my business model is you hire your own company right off the bat. Those companies exist, but you have to look at their caps. How much money will they pay on an AC and on a furnace, on a water heater, on an appliance? If we let you hire your own company, we have high caps. We almost have double of the caps of those companies where that's their business model. And if it's an emergency, such as it's this cold outside or it's 100 degrees and no AC, file the claim or tell your client to file the claim and let me know about it. Because I know all the techs in the network, I can personally call them and say, hey, can you do me a solid and run this call? I'll give you a real example. I had a homeowner. This was a rough one. This just happened. It was a first-time home buyer. She had so she has a mortgage. She could not get out of her lease. So she was paying a lease. She was paying a mortgage on a lease for her rent. She was paying a mortgage and a first-time homeowner. Her furnace failed. We replaced her furnace. And then she had a faucet leak that she could not turn off. And so we booked out 2 days. It was Open and Flow. Like I said, it just happened. I remember it was Open and Flow, which is a great company. I absolutely love them. They are phenomenal. If you are looking for a company on the side, call them. 10 out of 10. Been to my own home, my parents' house through the warranty, but nonetheless, active issue. It's leaking. It's causing secondary damage. Our company says, hey, we can't come out as like 1 to 2 days out. I call the company and say, hey, is there any way you guys can come out today? It's an active leak. And they were able to get out same day. Now, if they could not have, I would have gave the homeowner the option and say, hey, you know what? That's an emergency scenario. We're not an emergency company, but I get it's an escalation. I get what's the scenario. I would have let them hire their own company in that scenario. So if I know of an issue, I can personally help. But if it's not an emergency, or a crazy scenario, dishwasher's not working. Well, you can hand wash dishes for 2 or 3 or 4 days. You'll be okay. But if it's a crazy scenario, let me know so I can personally assist, because that's the power of having a rep who actually cares and has the flexibility to make moves. So hopefully that answers your question. I kind of went on a tangent because I get excited about some things. So I'm sorry, but I like the question. Any other questions, keep throwing it at me. I can't see because if you guys are chatting or what, but hopefully I got a thumbs up emoji and saying, that was good. You answered it. But options. So a lot of options. You got outdoor kitchen, smart tech, all these things. Full disclosure, full transparency. Some of these options I'm not the biggest fan of. Like I said, I've been going. This February would be my 14th year of doing home warranty. I've never seen a company do well pump or septic right. And when I say right, the coverage is great, but the cap, there's a low cap. So what's the ROI? You pay $75 for a service fee. You pay $125 add-on, and the most we're going to cover is $300. It's not worth your money. So I don't recommend well pump. I don't recommend septic unless they want it. That's fine. But full disclosure, they have low caps. So it's hard for me to sell it if I don't buy all into it. But so watch those two. The pool coverage is phenomenal. If they have a pool, I would almost make it mandatory. I can't remember the last pool claim I've seen denied personally. We have awesome pool coverage. And we cover rekey. So rekey, if you guys are familiar with rekey, we send out a locksmith. Your buyer or our client, our mutual client, can file a claim the day of closing or anytime during the contract, and we'll send out a locksmith and we'll rekey 6 locks and give them 4 keys. That's for a service fee of $75. So 6 locks, 4 keys for $75. If they hire their own locksmith, they're going to spend what, $200, $300, $400. So day one, we just saved them hundreds of dollars on day one. And they haven't even used the warranty for what it's intended for, which is repairs and replacements, day one. So there's a huge value with that. And every buyer should rekey the home. Why would you want the seller to have access to that home? So it's something everybody should do anyway, but it's included for the cost of the service fee. So that's a huge value. AC systems. We cover Freon at 100%, which I already mentioned, which is a big deal. because there's 46 warranty companies in the state of Missouri. Not all of us cover Freon. It's a fact. So if you're using Choice, you already know where we stand. And I work with a lot of you, so I appreciate if you're not using Choice, look at the company you're using. See if they cover Freon. See if they replace in its entirety. There's no age restrictions. It could be a 25-year-old furnace. We can't repair it. We replace it. Same thing for the AC. If it has an excessive leak, that's an automatic replacement. So there's things that, or if it has a compressor malfunction, compressor fails, we're going to either replace that compressor, but more than likely, we're going to replace that entire system because it's more cost effective. So we replace quite a bit, but we guarantee our labor and parts for a full month. So if we repair something and maybe it's not really repaired, maybe that faucet was repaired on site and then 3 days later, you know what, it started dripping again. That company will come back out, no service fee due, and they'll own that repair. So we guarantee it for a month. So there's peace of mind just with that, with no other service fee, nothing else due. Like I said, no age restrictions. The older the system, the better the reason to get the warranty. And then undetectable pre-existing. Can't test the system due to the temperatures, no problem. So too cold outside right now. How do you know if that AC is working? You really don't, other than, the seller says it does. Well, that's great, but does it really? Does it work the way it's supposed to? I don't know. We cover it even though it cannot be tested. So just make sure it's not mechanically broken on inspection. And I have a slide for this, but just make sure it's not mechanically broken on inspection, nothing broken or malfunctioning. And if it can't be tested, that's okay. And if it says get it serviced and cleaned, then you get it serviced and cleaned. So really it's two things. Make sure nothing is broken or noted as a problem on that inspection. And if it says get it serviced and cleaned, you do that. If you do those two things, there's a 98% chance we will cover that claim. The only way we can deny it is animal damage, weather-related issues, or self-inflicted. It has to fall under one of those three, which accounts for 2% if your inspection looks like that. Because you did due diligence, everything looks good. So furnace, just so you know.
David, real quick, Lisa Rozier said she's seen this as a great value for investors buying investment properties.
Yeah.
Do you see that a lot?
Yeah, I do. I actually work with a property management company, and over 50% of their portfolio has the home warranty. I have some rentals myself. Am being completely honest, it has been a lifesaver. I don't think, more than likely, I probably would have had to sell one of them off if it wasn't for the warranty. I mean, at one property, I got a new AC last summer. This winter, I got a furnace at an Overland property I have. I got a water heater at my Arnold property, which I already mentioned before. And there's so many things in between just those where if I just the condo I have in Creve Coeur where I got a new AC, if I didn't have the warranty, I would have been out of pocket $7,000-8,000. Like there goes my ROI for how many years, literally. And I make nothing on that property anyway, to be honest with you, so I would have been crushed. So it's huge. But I will say, when it comes to the rentals, as long as the tenant knows, hey, it's not same day service. On average, it's 2 to 4 days. That's the kicker. So I'll give you the real example. This winter, when I got a furnace at the Overland property I have, I told the tenant, I said, hey, you know what? I can get you space heaters or I can prorate the rent. Which one would you like? And I let them decide. They chose the space heaters. So I got them 2 space heaters. I spent, I want to say $600-700. And got the furnace replaced. I offered the same thing with the AC at my condo last summer. Do you want window units or do you want a prorated rent? And they chose the window units. So hasn't been an issue, but I always tell them up front, hey, if it's going to be replaced, it's definitely not going to be same day or next day. But I throw the ball in their court. Hey, what do you want? And it works out well. So I always say set the right expectations with a tenant of how home warranty works. But if you're a landlord and looking to save money, it is phenomenal. It truly is. I can say that from a personal experience. And with my rentals, my Choice doesn't know it's David, the employee. It's in my LLC. They have no idea it's me. So I'm actually experiencing it as a customer. It's been phenomenal.
Nice. So, that's great. Mike Shaw says you're looking sharp.
Hey, thanks, Mike. I appreciate it, buddy. And long time no talk. It's good to hear from you, even if it's just one comment. I like it, man. Furnace. So 80% efficiency. So we match like for like. So if that homeowner has a 90% efficient furnace, we're going to match and put in a 90%. We're not going to give them less quality than what they have. And we only use name brand equipment: Lennox, Carrier, Goodman, Payne, and Bryant. So you're only going to see name brand and the same efficiency. Now, if they have lower than 80%, such as a 70, which you could see in a home, we're going to upgrade them to an 80. So they're either going to get an upgrade or like for like if it's a higher efficiency. And that's government mandated, actually. It's the same for AC. We can't put less than a 13 SEER. So they're going to get upgraded to a 13 or that we're going to match their higher efficiency. If there's a crack in a heat exchanger, automatic replacement. We cover the CO2 leaks, which is a crack in the heat exchanger. In that top policy, we cover manufacturer warranties. So that heat exchanger, pending what warranty company or not warranty, pending what manufacturer, a lot of these heat exchangers have warranties on them. 10-year, 15, I've even seen 20-year manufacturer warranties. So what that means is us as a warranty company, we're going to say, well, the manufacturer's owning it, so we're not going to replace it because the manufacturer's going to own it. What the manufacturer's going to do is they're going to say, we're not going to replace your furnace. We're going to give you a new heat exchanger, but we're not going to cover the labor to install it. Choice will cover the labor for the install. So it's super important to make sure to do that. Another reason to do that ultimate policy where we're going to cover what the manufacturer does not. Furnace, we're not an emergency. This was from earlier, but I couldn't help but answer the question right then and there. We're not emergency service. So, it's not going to, it may not be same day. Once again, sometimes it is, but we can't guarantee it. So I don't say, yes, it is. But on average, it's 2 to 4 days. But if it really is an emergency, file a claim and call me. I have your guys back. I just need to know what's going on, and I will do something. Listing coverage. We cover the listing or the seller, the listing during the listing period. And the policy will close. Once the policy, at closing, the policy will go to the buyer for a full policy term. So the listing warranty is not going to eat into the buyer term. That buyer gets a full policy, and there's nothing due until closing. It's a free. It's free. So it's $0 on top of the buyer warranty. So the seller needs to know, yes, they're giving the buyer a warranty, and it's $60 add-on if they want to include HVAC. If they don't want to include HVAC and they want everything else, water heater, plumbing, all your appliances, cool. No additional cost. But if they do want AC and furnace, it's an additional $60. We have a $3,000 cap because there's no guarantee we're ever going to get paid. I remember it wasn't at your guys' office, different office. We replaced a water heater. And it was like a $2,500. It was one of the more costly ones. It was like $2,500 that I've seen for a standard 40-gallon. And home didn't close. They took the home off the market. We didn't ask for the policy price. We didn't ask for the money back on that water heater. So we just lost $2,500. So we have to have a cap. For the contract on the buyer side, there is no cap on the contract. We could pay out $50,000 on the contract. We could pay out $100,000. We could whatever. So just know that. But do this. There's no additional cost to cover your seller as long as they know they're giving it to the buyer. And then we ask you to advertise it. So in the MLS, social media marketing, whatever the case may be, let the buyers know, hey, it comes with a choice home warranty. That's all we ask for. I already mentioned this, but if we can't find a tech within 24 to 48 hours, we let you hire your own company. We're not going to hold up claims. And why I say it, when I say find a tech, so if you think of like Uber, right? So like if you do Uber, you don't know, the Uber driver will see, okay, there's a fare. They grab it, and then you're notified of, okay, this is your driver and this is your car. But you have no idea who your driver and who your car is when you say, okay, I want an Uber. It's once that guy or that woman, whoever, grabs that job, then you're notified. It's the same concept with us. We use the same automation, which is great because we're super tech savvy. So there's really no room for error. Everything is so automated. But so that we take our work order claim, we shoot it off to our network, and whatever company wants that job grabs that job. And then as soon as they grab it and they commit to a day and time, the homeowner's notified. So it's the same concept as Uber. But if no tech does grab it, that's when the automation, another piece of the automation kicks in, and we say, homeowner, nobody grabbed it, then you can hire your own. So it's pretty neat. Every single
couple of things real quick, if you don't mind.
Yeah.
We had a question. One is the ultimate, the 660. Is that the
Yes, it is.
$600? Okay.
Yep.
So that is. And then does the warranty cover permits for the install of the water heater?
Yes, it does.
So the warranty does. Okay. Perfect.
Yeah. The 660 is going to cover permit. It's going to cover haul away and removal and disposal of the old equipment. It's going to even cover code. And you might say, code, what does that even really mean? Well, you mentioned water heater. Take water heater, right? The expansion tank, that's code. So what happens if you have a water heater, it fails, and say it has no expansion tank, and say it was grandfathered in, no expansion tank. When we replace it, we're going to include an expansion tank. We're going to cover the permit. We're going to cover the install. So yeah, those things will be covered.
Awesome. And then Scott Jones said after 20 years in his home, he bought a 2-year policy, I believe, with you, and it's paid for itself already.
I appreciate it. I do appreciate it. Love to hear that.
Another question, they're rolling in. Can a previous client take advantage of this pricing?
Yes, they can, but make sure they contact me directly so I can make sure they get set up properly with the real estate policy. So what we're going over right now is the real estate policy. The only way you can get a real estate policy is if you're a real estate agent or you're going through a real estate transaction or you know somebody at choice. It's not offered to the general public unless you essentially have an in. So the general public gets something called a direct to consumer policy. So you have lower caps, lower coverage, different service model. I can't service it, so I can't personally assist, and that's half the cover. That matters so much. So make sure that they call me directly and reference you as the real estate agent. That way you'll get notified every single time they file a claim. And on top of that, we have a promo where if it's outside of a real estate transaction, if it's 2+ months, we'll say 60 days outside of a real estate transaction or more. So say a client from 5 years ago, or say a family member or yourself or whoever, if they get a policy, we actually cut you a check for $75. And it's RESPA and CFPB compliant because it has no ties to a real estate transaction. That's why it has to be 2+ months outside of real estate. So it has no ties. So, and the buyer will also get a free additional month. So there's a lot of perks. Just make sure that they contact me and reference you so we can make sure that all those things are put in place. Is there any other questions before I keep moving on here?
Yeah, there is. Can you touch on plumbing issues covered?
So plumbing's pretty vast. I mean, it covers quite a bit. I mean, toilet, it's going to cover your stack or your waistline. It's going to cover pipes in the wall. It does have a cap within the wall of $500. So if we have to cut through drywall or plaster and repair a pipe, it caps off at $500. But exposed pipe has no cap. So your stack, the toilet, pretty much think of any plumbing system inside your home, including hose bibs. And hose bibs are on the exterior, but we do cover hose bibs as well. But it's going to cover pretty much all your plumbing within your home. It's not going to cover the sewer lateral. It will not cover the sewer lateral. It will cover a stoppage. So all 3 policies will cover a stoppage where we'll snake or cable the line. But if the line is cracked, the sewer lateral is cracked, well, we're not going to cover the crack. We're going to say, hey, the line can't get past a certain point. We recommend a camera or hiring somebody else to take care of the sewer lateral issue. But plumbing is pretty much all within the home structure plus the hose bib.
What if, David, what if it's a cast iron stack on like a city property, very old cast iron stack? That's still covered?
That would still be covered.
Rust barnacles on it, stuff like that?
So it would have to be more than barnacles because barnacles can sit there for 6 months and not really cause any issue. It'd just be a little moisture and not really be a real issue. But if there's like an active leak really going on, yeah, we would take care of it, whether that's going to be a section of piping replaced to take care of that or the whole waistline going down. But yeah, we would take care of that.
Cool. And then another question, does the cost include labor?
It does. It's parts and labor. I need to add a slide for what I'm about to tell you because I think it's that important. But to set right expectations, and we're not the only warranty company that does this. I've done this for 14 years. This is every single company I know what I'm about to tell you, but it's super important. If we repair something and it's covered, that covers parts and labor. It's the cost of the service fee, $75, and that's it. Parts and labor, $75, we're good. But if it's replacement, not repair, but replacement on AC, furnace, or a water heater, one of those 3, there is going to be an out-of-pocket cost above and beyond the service fee. So never tell your client it's $75 if it's going to be replaced. And this isn't just choice. This is everybody I'm familiar with, but I'm telling you about it. The reason being is if we have to install a new AC, furnace, or water heater, well, you have to retrofit the new equipment to the old setup. It's not plug and play. So you're going to have to do new ductwork or sheet metal, new plumbing lines, new electric lines. You got to do plenum. You got to do whatever the case may be, but it's going to be a custom job. And in that Choice Ultimate, it covers $250 towards these modifications. So the warranty companies, us and others, call it modifications. Now, averages, to put things into perspective, if it's a water heater replacement, the average out of pocket I see, if you have the ultimate policy, which covers the permit and haul away and everything else, is $50 to $200. So I rarely get phone calls or pushback because we just saved the homeowner $1,500 to $2,000 on average. So what do they care about an extra $50 to $200? But it is what it is. AC is about $500 to $1,000 out of pocket, and furnace is about $500 to $1,000 out of pocket on average. It can be less, it can be more. But those are averages because it's all based on the home setup of what custom work has to be done to retrofit the new equipment. Now, we're going to cover the labor of the furnace install, but we're not going to cover the labor of the modifications. So just know that. Now, after having said that, if you go buy a new AC and say it cost $7,000, would you rather pay $7,000 retail or $700? So there's a humongous savings. There's no doubt about it. But I'm just telling you guys this up front to set right expectations because I don't want anybody saying $75 covers the full replacement of everything. And then you get hit up a week later and homeowner's pissed saying, hey, it's $700. What is this about? So just know that. But once again, would your buyer rather pay $700 or $7,000? That's the difference. But it exists. It's real. It's been around forever. I'm just telling you guys about it. Is there any questions about that before I do move on? Because I'm glad that somebody kind of touched on that so I could bring it up.
Nothing else at the moment.
Got it. All right. Inspection. This is the most important slide. And I already touched on this. This is the most important slide I can mention during the entire presentation. Because you want to know how we pay on claims? This is how. So make sure that it's in good working order on inspection. It's in great shape. Age, it doesn't matter. Last leg, old, recommend replacement based on age. Who cares? We cover it. That's why you get a warranty. Just make sure it's not broken or malfunctioning. If something negative is noted, get it addressed pertaining to the system of it malfunctioning or whatever the case may be. And if it says get it clean and serviced, you get it clean and serviced. It is that simple. 98%. This is why we deny so many claims. If there are claims denied, it's because of this. The majority of our claims that we deny is because on inspection, it notes an issue. Homeowner tries to file a claim on that issue. We ask for inspection, and it was there in writing saying, hey, this part was broken. And we're like, hey, it says it was broken. Or it says get it clean and serviced, and they didn't get it clean and serviced, and it's a week after closing, and there's a huge malfunction. And we're like, did you show me a receipt showing you got it clean and serviced, and we'll cover it? But they don't have that because they didn't do it. So this is going to be the majority of the reasons of denials if there's a denial, which you can easily overcome. Just so you guys know, my job essentially is sales, right? But for me to be able to sell policies, we need to pay on claims. Your clients have to have a good experience. Your client has a bad experience, you're not going to keep recommending choice. You're going to say, hey, my client had a bad experience. I'm not going to keep using you. So I want as many claims paid on as I possibly can get. So I'm trying to tell you how we get claims paid on. This is what you got to do. But it's that easy. Any questions about this?
We do have one question, actually just a different question though, in regards to the plumbing again. If there was a leak in the plumbing to the faucet in a wall, the wall's tiled, has to be cut. Is the repair just for the plumbing or also the replacement of the drywall and tile?
Just plumbing. We would not access through tile. So we would tell the homeowner in that scenario, you can use our company if you want, but it's on your dime, or you can hire your own company, or you can even do it yourself, but create access. And then once there's access, our company can go in and fix that plumbing issue. But we're not going to touch that wall because it is tile. We only access through plaster and drywall. Outside of that, it would be on the homeowner. So, yeah. And then I do want to mention on the inspection, just to set right expectations again, we're only going to ask for inspection in the first roughly 45 days because we don't want to get bamboozled, right? Like somebody closed on a home and they file a claim 2 days after closing. How do we know that that item wasn't broken to start off with, right? So we have to quality control to some extent. So in the first roughly 45 days, if there's a big claim filed, AC needs to be replaced, we're going to send a tech out without asking for anything. And if it's a big issue, a big repair, big replacement, we're going to be like, you just closed in your home. Can you show me it was working? So we cover undetectable, so not a big deal, but it needs to be working on inspection for us to cover it. Now, if they, for the same concept for AC, so right now you're not using our AC. But I will say, if they kick on their AC during summertime, we can ask for inspection at the beginning, even if it's beyond 45 days for that AC specifically. Other items we're not going to care about, but that AC, just to show, hey, it couldn't be tested, we're fine. But as long as you're doing this, you are in phenomenal shape. Now, if you cannot do an inspection, if it is a tight deal, you cannot do inspection, it's as is, not a problem. You can still get the warranty. I would strongly advise whatever item or items you're most concerned about, have a licensed company come out for that trade and service and clean that item and put in writing as much detail as they possibly can. So, for example, as is, hire an HVAC guy, have him come out and clean the furnace and the AC, and have him put the temperature split on that AC, showing that the airflow is great, what the temperature is reading, that it's in good working order. Or, hey, you know what? For in real time, service and clean that furnace, service and clean that AC, and put in writing, furnace is heating up to this temperature, chambers are all clean, no crack in the heat exchanger, signs of rust and corrosion, but not causing any issues. Everything is great. Awesome. We'll cover that furnace that day moving forward. No issue. If we ask for an inspection, you can offer that document up. We would have to own it. Or for that AC, we might ask for say we ask for that AC and it says from your licensed HVAC company, it was service clean, but couldn't mechanically test it, but appears that it would be in good working order, but can't test it. Fine. You did due diligence. We would cover that AC. So as long as there's due diligence, we give the benefit of the doubt to the buyer and we cover it. So that's how you can overcome an inspection is just get a licensed company out and have them go through that system and put it in writing. And if it gets the green light, we're in great shape. So hopefully all that makes sense. But this is the biggest deal when it comes to warranty, because this is how we can pay on claims. And after 45 days, we tend not to ask for it unless it's going to be AC at the beginning of the season. But otherwise, we're in great shape. Any questions about this before I move on to the next slide?
I've got one on how does it work if a homeowner purchases a warranty years after living in the home? How do you know the condition of the AC prior to a call?
So it's going to be the same concept of the as is, where before they get the policy. So if you buy a warranty outside that, let's say from the question earlier, somebody wants to buy a warranty, they're 60 plus days outside of closing, they've owned a home for 5 years, they get a warranty. There's a third. So in real estate, the policy starts the day of closing. So there's no wait period. If you buy it 60 plus days outside of closing, there's a 30-day wait. So you order it today, there's a 30-day wait outside of closing. Nothing to do with real estate. So that 30-day window, you should get your furnace and AC service and cleaned, get in writing, it's in good working order, everything else, get in as much detail as possible. Now you have a document from a licensed company showing and that it checked out and everything is fine. So you're starting that policy with a clean bill of health of your systems. So we may never ask for that document, but if we do, you're safe. You troubleshot, you're in great shape. You have a document to prove that you did the right thing. So that's what you would do to overcome it, is get it serviced and clean and get in writing by a licensed HVAC company. But once again, it's not a requirement. It's just a big recommendation to cover your butt or the homeowner's butt. But if you file a claim 6 months into it, no, we're not going to ask for that document. But you file a claim 2 weeks into your policy, or even maybe a month into your policy, yeah, we got to quality control it to make sure we're not being taken. But that's what you would do to protect yourself. Almost done, guys. I promise. I find it enjoyable, but then again, I guess I have to. I've been doing it forever, but I love it. I'm a dork. It's okay.
I know. I think it's super informative, honestly, because there's so many ins and outs of it, and we've heard, everyone's heard stories about home warranties that don't cover things, or what they say they do, they don't. This or that. It takes weeks to have somebody come out. So I like all the questions that are being asked as well. And I'm glad you're able to answer them all. That's awesome.
No, I agree. I love the questions, and yeah. And as a side note, to even expand on that, if you guys have an inspection report and you're like, it's a gray area, I think the furnace might be covered based on what David said during a presentation. I think it's covered, but I'm not 100%. And you're telling yourself internally that, email me your inspection. I will put in writing what you need to do to get it up to our level where we would cover it. Or I'll say, it's past its point. This is a real scenario. I had somebody yesterday. I said the same thing I'm telling you guys. She took me up on it. I had a coffee at Panera Bread with her in Sunset Hills, a coffee. And a week later, she writes her first policy with me. And I've never worked with her before, so it was really neat. And she says, hey, check out this inspection report. He's really concerned about the AC. It can't be tested. She was focused on, hey, it could not be tested. I look at it. The AC's fins were excessively bent up, noted on inspection. Well, if your fins on your condensing unit are severely bent, the unit can't breathe. That system's not covered. I told her, I said, hey, that AC will not be covered. That furnace will, that water heater will, but that AC is not covered. And she told her client, they got the policy. They actually ordered the policy last night. So we got the policy ordered, but the buyer knows that AC won't be covered. But send me your inspection. I will tell you if it's going to be coverable, if it's not going to be coverable, what you need to do. And just know that inspection is between me and you. It's not uploaded to Choice. It's not going to be used against them in any way. It's for me to personally help you answer questions and hopefully cover claims, just so you know. It's just an extra service I'm trying to offer to you guys.
Got a testimonial for you here, David. Kathy Heitzman says, I had a buyer denied and David got it approved. The buyer made the mistake when submitting the claim on the furnace that it was last known to be working at inspection date before closing, then didn't use for a couple of months after closing, and then it didn't come on. It started as a denial, but a quick call to David, and it was repaired. Be sure to educate
that.
Yeah.
That's really nice. I appreciate you saying that. And I remember that deal, actually. I really do. And it's all about service. It really is. It's not me just sitting here trying to sell a policy. That's the easy part. It's the service after the sale, doing the right thing and doing whatever you possibly can to help somebody. And I really appreciate that, Kathy. I really do. So thank you.
Sophie Liu asked too, does it count if the inspection was done months before the start of the coverage and the claim is months after the start of the coverage?
When we say months, like 2 months prior to closing?
I'm assuming
or 3 months or 4 months, like just give me a kind of a general.
Yeah, let's say the inspection was done 2 months before.
We'd be totally fine. That's sufficient. If it's like 6 months before and somebody else's inspection because a contract fell through and it was 6 months prior, then you start to get a little hairy because a lot can happen in 6 months. But 2 months, you'd be fine. That wouldn't be an issue. And if you file a claim 2 months after closing, more than likely, we're not going to ask for inspection anyway. But if we did, we could use that inspection from 2 months prior to closing. That wouldn't be an issue.
Perfect. Cool. Nice.
So why should you care about home warranty? 68% likelihood something will break first year from NAR, 68%. So something will break. It's just a matter of what is it and what's the cost. So I always say it like this. When somebody closes and something breaks, they're going to call you guys first. Even though they may have the warranty, they're still probably going to call you first and say, what do I do? I'm freaking out. The message from you guys to that buyer is, hey, you know what? Here's 3 AC companies. Call them, tell them I sent you. They're great companies. They know me. They'll give you a good price. Essentially saying, you know what? You're going to have to pay for the cost. That's homeownership. Sucks, but you'll get a break on price, but you're still going to have to eat some cost. Or the message could be, you know what? I was thinking about you post sale, and we got you a warranty. Call David or call Choice and file a claim. They'll take care of you. Message 2 is a hell of a lot easier than message 1, especially for first-time home buyers who may not have the funds. So like that example I gave earlier, that woman was paying a lease and a mortgage. For that furnace, if we didn't replace a furnace, how was she going to come up with $3,000 or $4,000? I think she was super stretched as is, honestly. I mean, because I was speaking to the agent about that, and it's pretty wild. So liability, AC or furnace breaks the day after closing. We already went over that. AC is on its last leg, but still working. Negotiation tool. If that AC, furnace, or water heater is still working, you guys know better than I do. They're not going to give you a new one if it's still working. Why would they? They're not going to give you a price, $5,000 off a price because it's working. But you can ask for a warranty because it's really old, because that's logical and that makes sense. And we go up to 5-year policies, $2,400 for 5 years. You're more likely to get $2,400 than you are a $5,000 price deduction or a new system. What's $2,400 in the big scheme? But at a minimum, the $660 you will get if you ask for it during inspections typically. And we're seeing it coming back big time right now. And does the average buyer have all this money for new systems? Listings are, in terms of price, you guys know what they are in terms of price. I mean, they're way more, it's a lot higher now than it used to be. It's an all-time high for the most part. Interest rates are between 6 and 8% pending programs, things like that. So everything is so costly. Who has extra money for a new AC, furnace, water heater, whatever? That's what warranty is here for. Last 2 slides. We don't have hold times. We're a nationwide company with 17 plus. There's a typo. Ignore it. 17 plus. I kind of like the way that sounds. I might just leave it, but 17 plus years. Second biggest warranty company in the country. But you know what? I mean, saying second biggest, that's great. But how are we doing on a local level? Local level matters more to me. of how we're rated, what we do on a local level. I mean, number one from US News World Report, but looking on a local level, we've been the number one warranty company for the past 3 years in St. Louis, St. Charles, and the surrounding area, Missouri as a whole, I'll say, for the past 3 years, because the agents that use us over and over and over and over, and the agents tend to do a lot of business. So last year for 2024, I haven't put this on Facebook or announced it, and it hasn't been formalized because I have nationals in February, middle of February. But St. Louis, or my territory that we oversee on a local level, was number 2 in warranty sales in the country. We did over 3,300 policies between St. Louis, St. Charles, Edwardsville, Sikeston, and Cape Girardeau. So those numbers are phenomenal. So the agents, you are getting these policies. You just have to ask for it during inspection, but the sales are there. And the reason it's really neat, once again, to be able to say, it's not a pat on my back saying, oh, we're number 2 or whatever. It's, you know what? The reason why we're 3 years in sales is because the service aspect, because we handle our claims the way we're supposed to. I have your back in case if things fall through the cracks, but essentially the agents see value, the homeowners see value, and they keep writing the policies over and over because we're doing a really good job. So easy to make the sale, but to continuously make the sales over and over, you have to provide that level of service, in which we obviously are doing. Consumer Affairs, US News World Report, top ranked, and all that good stuff. And then there's my info. That's my cell phone. That's my email. I handle my own accounts. As Kathy mentioned, and other people on this call, I don't dish you off. I don't say, oh, you know what? That sucks. Call 1-800 number. Or, you know what? Yeah, I realize it's 100 degrees. That policy says section 5E, whatever. No, like you text, you call, or you email me, and I'll personally get back to you. I don't dish off to other people. I like to handle my own accounts to make sure things are handled and people are happy. And I will do whatever I possibly can. So, and honestly, I need the sales more now than ever. I got 3 kids and a 4th due in 2 months. So I am working like a madman. I'm like, oh my God, I got to support another kiddo, but so you better believe I'm going to answer my phone or get back to you ASAP. But in all honesty, I'm super excited. I can't wait to meet the little guy. My 4th boy.
That's awesome.
Yeah, we're super, super excited. It'll be 4 kiddos under the age of 8.
Wow.
So,
yeah. Busy guy. Busy.
So,
yeah.
But that's really everything I got for you guys. Is there any questions I can answer for you?
We do have another one. Lori Scott says, if appliance goes out, what is the cap on an appliance replacement?
Gotcha. So if you do the Choice Ultimate, we do cover Sub-Zeros, Vikings, high-end appliances. If it is a high-end appliance, we can cover up to $5,000, which is relatively high in the business. Now, I mean, let's be real. Sub-Zero could be 20 grand. No, we're not going to cover a brand new Sub-Zero, but $5K on a $660 policy is pretty phenomenal on one item, let alone you have coverage for everything else. But to answer your question, up to $5 grand. And we're not going to physically replace the appliance. We offer a Lowe's e-gift card, or you can take a hard check. Since COVID, we stopped physically replacing and we just started paying out. So
that's huge. And Kathy Heitzman, she says, truth, he responds and does what he says. Rhonda Bauman also said, David, I appreciate you. You've always provided myself and my clients with great customer service. There it is. Great customer service.
Thank you, Rhonda. I love working with you too. So thank you.
So yeah, if you haven't used David, give him a try. Honestly, give him a shot. He does go above and beyond. He's had some excellent testimonials in his training here today from agents within our company that have used him. I will say he's the guy that he's a good communicator. He follows up, picks up the phone, responds. And, it's kind of like our core values of our company. We have the saying, wit win, whatever it takes, whenever it's needed. That's why I had David on today. I feel like he really kind of lives by that. And, he's there for you. So he's not just going to be a rep that's going to sell it to you and then take days to get back to you. And so I think if you haven't used him, give him a shot. As you can see from what he presented here today too, his company, it's a good company. So I think it'd be definitely worth it. If you haven't used him, go ahead and try him. And I promise you'll like him, and you'll most likely keep using him. So
I appreciate all the kind remarks, and that's all I can ask for is an opportunity. Just as you guys ask your sellers when you're at that listing appointment, all I need is an opportunity. You can do the job. You just need that opportunity. It's the same thing with me. I ask you for that opportunity, and if I let you down, never use me again. But I out of confidence, I feel good about it. We do the right thing, and I take care of my people. So came in late. Where did you get the application? So. What I can do is following this phone call, Michael, if I can email you the application and the brochure and use blast it to everybody, if that works.
Yeah, absolutely. So we can link it in the Facebook group as well. So that way they can pull from there, and then we'll email it out. Yeah, absolutely.
Perfect. So yeah. And thank you guys for taking the time to learn about it. I really, really appreciate it. And I know your time is super valuable. Everybody has an ROI on their hour. I know how valuable your time is. So thank you for taking the time out and hearing me out on home warranty. So thank you.
Yeah. Thank you, David. Appreciate you being on today. And yeah, we'll talk with you here soon.
Cool. All right. Have a great day, everybody.
Thanks, everyone. Talk soon. Bye.